Revelation 2755. From the 27th of May 1943. New Redemption Epoch. Paradise State. New Struggle. A time of greatest confusion is now replaced by a time of deepest peace, for everything that lives there in free will is for God. Thus God turned will and therefore needs neither suffering nor tribulation as means of education. It stands in love and is therefore close to God. And closeness to God means peace and harmony and a state of bliss already on earth. And this is the beginning of a new redemption period in which God's adversary still has no influence on people because he is bound for a long time. It is a paradisiacal state because people are in knowledge, because faith and love have brought them knowledge and they are happy in the recognition of truth. Every process on earth is understandable to them, error is banished, they hear the voice of God within themselves which continues to instruct them, and their love for God increases and is expressed in unselfish neighborly love. And this harmonious state lasts for a long time. But the creations on earth are carriers of the spiritual substance again, which shall develop ascendantly, and thus they must also give it the opportunity to be of service. And therefore, like the creations of the old earth, they will dissolve and change within themselves in order to release the spiritual substance so that it can reshape itself again. Consequently, the people of the new earth must also carry out certain activities in order to promote this continuous development of the spiritual. But the spiritual is still very immature and presses people in a certain state of maturity, that is, it seeks to direct people's thoughts towards itself. And if they allow themselves to be influenced by it they distance themselves from God. These are only the coming generations whose souls still contain immature substances and who therefore have to struggle more in order to reach spiritual maturity. Their knowledge of God is correspondingly clouded, they are not entirely distant from God but they are no longer able to clearly hear His voice because their senses are already divided. Because they are no longer undividedly directed towards God but are also distracted by earthly things, and this results in a darkening of the spirit. And then God's adversary will have an influence on people's souls again, and the battle for the spiritual will begin anew, a new redemption epoch will set in. A renewed struggle of the world full of light against the threatening darkness and accordingly also a more difficult earthly life for people who are in danger of losing themselves to matter. Although God constantly speaks to people and informs them of His will, the more they strive towards matter the less they hear the divine voice and thus distance themselves from Him. But divine love draws them to Himself time and again. And time and again He comes closer to them in order to enable their complete redemption from the form, which is indeed not achieved without a fight, which is why God once again grants His adversary power over people's souls, but to the same extent He places His strength at their disposal to resist Him. This is a period of redemption of shorter duration because the spiritual being has to cover its renewed earthly progress under particularly difficult conditions, thus it has to atone for its resistance far more severely than on the old earth and it decides more quickly to give up this resistance. Consequently, it covers each subsequent phase of development significantly faster and can embody itself again as a human being correspondingly sooner. But even this life as a human being will only bring it final redemption when it testifies to the abandonment of resistance through continued loving activity, for which it will again have ample opportunity. For as long as the earth is the abode and training station of the spiritual being, this spiritual being will also be given the opportunity to leave it as a perfected being of light. But it is up to him how long it takes to do so. Because the spiritual being as a human being is endowed with free will and can now use it in the right or also wrong way. For the new earth will make the same demands on people. To redeem themselves through love for God and their neighbor. Amen.